Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. British heavyweight Hughie Fury is talking up his chances of going to Bulgaria and beating hometown favourite Kubrat Pulev in his own backyard. The pair will square off on October 27th in Sofia, with the winner becoming the mandatory challenger to Anthony Joshua's IBF strap. In a press release from Hennessy Sports announcing the fight. Actually, I'm going to stop there for a second, because if you thought that this fight had already been announced, you're right. In mid-August, Kubrat Pulev announced the fight was signed. He gave the fight date and the venue, and I even did a video about that. But now we've got this second announcement a few weeks later announcing the fight again, so go figure. But let's get to the quotes, because there's some interesting stuff from all involved, and then on to a few thoughts. Buckle in. Let's go. The event, titled Fire and Fury, if you can believe it, it will be presented by Ivalo Gotsev and John Wirtz Epic Sports and Entertainment, together with Fury's promoter Hennessy Sports, and will be broadcast live in the UK on Channel 5. One of the most popular athletes in all of Bulgaria, 37-year-old Pulev is on a 5-fight winning streak, including a third-round victory over former heavyweight champion Samuel Peter. And I'll just a little sidebar there, Peter was way washed up by the time that Pulev faced him. Fury is the fourth opponent scheduled to face Pulev, as Britain's Dillian Whyte and Americans Jarrell Miller and Dominic Breazeale all declined the fight. Pulev, who will be having his first bout since partnering with Epic Sports and Entertainment, says Fury better not be looking past him while preparing for his fight. And this is Pulev's direct quote: "The fact that Hughie Fury is coming to Bulgaria when many others ran away speaks volumes. I understand that he's very motivated, because this is an eliminator fight for a chance at the world title. I suggest he stops thinking about the world title for a moment and come prepared for a real battle. I'm already in beast mode, and I'm hungry for my return in the ring." Fury, meanwhile, he says it's taken a lot of time to make this fight, and I want to thank all those involved. I want to fight for world titles, and to do that, I need to beat the guys at the top of the division. Kubrat Pulev is a serious fight for the mandatory position, and I know I've got to be the real deal to beat him. I believe I'm going to do that in his backyard, where others trembled at the thought of it. Fury's father and trainer Peter Fury says, "We want to be involved in these big fight nights and to go up against the big names that lead the division. To become a world heavyweight champion, you've got to overcome every challenge that's put in front of you. And for Hughie, that starts in Bulgaria in October." The event's promoter Ivalo Gotsev of Epic Sports and Entertainment says, "In this day and age, when some promoters and their fighters opt for the safest bets, Hughie Fury has done the opposite. Fury has decided to step into the lion's den and fight Kubrat in his hometown of Sofia. This matchup is intriguing, as two of the best in the division step up and face one another. We expect a great heavyweight battle, one that will decide one man's destiny to fight for the most coveted title in the world, the heavyweight championship. To all of Team Fury, you are welcome in Bulgaria." Hennessy Sports CEO Mick Hennessy, he says, "First and foremost, I'd like to heap praise on my young fighter Hughie Fury. There's no pantomime and no theatrics. He's just a young man full of respect for everyone he faces, and who believes in giving the fans proper fights and value for money. At just 23 years of age, Hughie is a massive talent. He's not perhaps got all the plaudits he deserves, so this is a moment to make the boxing world really sit up and take notice of what he's capable of. I'd also like to thank my counterparts at Epic Sports and Entertainment for making this fight happen. It's taken a lot to get to this point, but we were determined to give the fans a fight they deserve. Both teams are excited about this one." And the press release, it ends by saying the stacked international undercard along with ticket details is going to be revealed shortly. And I would note, not long after Pulev's original mid-August announcement, it was reported that Bogdan Dinu and James Wilson would be on that undercard in separate fights against opponents that were yet to be announced. But since then, because that was up on BoxRec as well. It has disappeared. It's been taken down, so not sure what's happening there. But, you know, full details in due course. Okay, thoughts. First off, Mick Hennessy has managed to secure this fight on Channel 5 in the United Kingdom, which means it's going to be on free-to-air television. And I would hazard a guess that they'll be able to draw quite an audience for this fight, because they can quite legitimately say that the winner will be mandated to fight for Anthony Joshua's IBF belt. That's quite a selling point just in of itself. But this is a good fight for the heavyweight division. Two of the better guys in the division, so that is a real sort of coup for Mick Hennessy to actually pull this off here. And it also possibly explains the delay in a full announcement. But I do find it funny that everyone involved is acting like the Pulev announcement from a couple of weeks ago, which happened just after he ditched his old promoter Salwan. It was like it never happened. But in respect of Kubrat Pulev's comments, so he says that he's happy he's got an opponent for this fight after 3 others turn their back on it. But he's also warned Fury, don't get ahead of yourself here, prepare for a real battle, as he put it. I'm not sure whether a lot of us are actually expecting a real war or a real battle, just because of the style matchup. I don't know how well the styles are going to gel in this one. But if it did devolve into some sort of, shootout, I'd be pleasantly surprised by that. Although, I've got to say, I'm certainly not expecting it. I'm expecting, Fury to keep it long, use movement. I'm expecting Pulev to, sit behind the jab. But, we'll have to see where this goes. But the real question for me, as I've alluded to before, in respect of any fight involving a 37-year-old Kubrat Pulev, is what does this guy have left in the tank? Come fight night, he won't have been in the ring for 18 months. And even prior to that, he was still relatively inactive. So what he's got left, it's definitely an open question. It was good to hear Hughie Fury say that to compete for a title, he needs to be in fights like this one. And actually, this fight could be the making of Hughie Fury if he can come through it, get a win, and look impressive. And I think it's fair to say that Fury, he didn't really gain a major foothold with fans in his previous run to a title, which culminated with a title fight against Joseph Parker. And that was essentially because he was perceived to have had a pretty easy ride to the title fight. But getting past Kubrat Pulev, who's a serious name in the division, it will convince more fans that he is legit. And at 23, he's probably not the finished product, but he's already shown enough to suggest that he's going to be around and a top contender for the next 5 or 10 years. And we did actually see a more aggressive and hard-hitting Fury in his most recent fight against Sam Sexton, but we have to temper that with the fact that Sexton is definitely British level, where Kubrat Pulev is operating at world level, and it remains to be seen what level of risk is Fury willing to accept to get some of his hardest hitting work away against Pulev. Because let's face it, if he's running around all night, not sitting down on his punches, it's going to be hard to actually get a decision in Pulev's hometown. So he's going to need to trade with Pulev at times, and he's going to need to get some really good work away to actually score some points and win some rounds. Because if he doesn't, it'll be a tough night, and he may well be on the end of a decision that he doesn't like. And in respect of the promoters who are behind this fight, Ivalo Gotsev, Mick Hennessy, well, they were largely saying the sort of stuff you'd expect them to be saying. What a great fight this, how tough it will be. Credit to the other guy for coming here, taking the fight, all that sort of stuff. Saying what we would expect, talking it up. But I do think that Mick Hennessy is right when he says Fury has not got the plaudits that he deserves, and that this is the moment, as he put it, to make the boxing world sit up and take notice. It's certainly easier said than done against an experienced and wily old veteran like Pulev, who will be fighting in front of a massive home crowd, and I'm sure that's going to gee him up. But should Hughie Fury do it, I'm sure he's going to get a lot of credit from boxing fans in general. He'll probably have a lot more buzz around him if he can get past Pulev. I haven't seen any betting odds yet, but I would imagine that it's going to be relatively close in the betting stakes, possibly Pulev listed as a slight favourite, but we'll have to see where all that goes. But there's going to be some intriguing storylines with this fight, because obviously it's all there for both guys. Get through this fight and then on to an Anthony Joshua fight, whenever that would be. Okay, what do you make of it all? Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.